Hello everyone. I am so excited right now to introduce to you a special guest we have today, Tom Cronin. Tom is amazing. He left his job in finance, I believe, and has created a beautiful life teaching meditation around the globe, and I'm just really excited to have you here, Tom. You're in Australia, right? Sydney?
Sydney, Australia.
Wonderful.
It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me along today.
I'm so very excited. So tell me a little bit, Tom, about how you came to this life and what your life was like before. How long ago was this?
Yeah, I started out in finance when I was really young. I basically walked in off the street and took a job back in, 1987. It was the same year that Jordan Belfort started his job on Wall Street in The Wolf of Wall Street. He was 22, I was 19, and I just finished a year backpacking around the world and was looking for some money before I went to university to do a journalism degree. And, it was back in the 80s, and Wall Street, the movie, was out with Bud Fox, and Bonfire of the Vanities was published that year, and we had Wolf of Wall Street, that year. It was just a crazy year of, decadence and, all sorts of, self-indulgence. And, I got swept along in the finance industry. I was young, I was paid a lot of money, and I led a really sort of imbalanced lifestyle, doing a lot of crazy things. And what started to happen was, over time, over the years of me doing this in finance, I kind of left my degree behind and just got swept along by the glamour and the glitz and the money of this high, fast-powered industry. And not before long, I started to experience a lot of anxiety, a lot of panic attacks, depression. I was literally just, my wear and tear on my body, in my mind, my nervous system was starting to show up a lot of symptoms. And really, symptoms are really just a cue for us to adapt the way we're living. But of course, I ignored that. And I kept doing the same thing over and over again. And the symptoms just exacerbated and got worse. And eventually it got to the point where I literally couldn't leave my house. I was having a full-blown, almost like nervous breakdown, I guess you call it. I was clinically depressed and having extreme panic attacks. And, I looked into Western medicine, I obviously saw the doctors and psychiatrists and things like that. But, I just felt inherently that I had to find an alternative way out of that. So I looked into meditation. I just thought that was one of the things that I really needed to do. I tried a lot of other things as well. But it was really not until I started to meditate daily that it was completely transformational. I tried a lot of different meditation techniques. This one that I found was just so powerful, and I really started to notice a lot of change very quickly. So that was really the starting point, I guess, just learning to meditate and really embracing it, not just like, hey, I'm just going to sit and quiet my mind for 5 minutes. It was really, I went deep into the study of it, the philosophy of it, and the science behind it, and really embraced it because I just saw how transformational it was. I went back to finance, actually continued on another 15 years in finance.
Oh, wow, 15 years you continued on.
Yeah, that's right. I ended up having a 20-year career in finance.
And do you attribute your continued 15 years because you started to meditate?
Look, there's people in that industry that have been there a long time that aren't meditating, so I wouldn't say you have to meditate to be successful in finance. But for me personally, it definitely had a major contribution in my ability to sustain 26 years in that industry. I led a very healthy lifestyle, meditating every day, not drinking, no drugs, no, unhealthy food while I was there. And it really did help me sustain a great deal of success in finance. And, Ray Dalio, he's the world's largest hedge fund. He manages $130 billion worth of funds, and he attributes his success down to meditation alone. And I think, for me, I would have to say that my success was primarily due to meditation. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice, nice. Well, I kind of joked with you before we got started, Tom, and I told you how I found you. And I think it's really funny. So I found you through two people I actually dated. Two different men were huge fans of yours, and one is a New Zealander and another is an American, and they both suggested I listen to you, and so I kind of chalked it up to me being too hyper or what have you, but you have a really huge following, and you're so incredibly humble. I've noticed that through social media. You're not really boasting upon, you know, about how you're helping others, and you're helping people on a really massive scale. So tell me what you do now. Tell me exactly what you do with the retreats and everything.
Sure. You know, for me, coming from such a intense base, you know, the depression, anxiety, and having meditation really be such a key player in my, you know, my evolution, in my being able to feel and, you know, experience the world in such a loving, beautiful, joyful way. I really wanted to share it with the masses. So I was really compelled to start sharing this with the world. You know, if I could come from anxiety, panic attacks, agoraphobia, depression, insomnia, to a place of love and calm and clarity and success without anything other than the meditation. Sure, I changed my diet and stopped taking drugs and drinking, but it really was the key factor of meditating daily. I just thought, what can this do for the world? You know, this is crazy. The world needs to experience this. So I really had to find a way that I could get this out to the masses, and I became a qualified teacher. I finished my teacher training in India and in Bali, became a Vedic meditation teacher. But even then I found there was limitations. You know, I was teaching part-time. I'd leave the trading room floor at 5:30 after turning over $1 billion worth of swaps and bonds, and then I'd start teaching people how to meditate in the evening at 6 o'clock. But I felt over time that I needed to find a way that I could really get this out to the masses in a big way. So when I learned this form of meditation, there was no internet. It was quite bizarre, really, to think that there was no Facebook, no Twitter, no YouTube. And the only way you could learn it was to actually sit directly in front of the person over a number of different consecutive sessions. But the world's changed, and we had people all over the world saying, I want to find out how you managed to do this. I want to be able to do this myself because I'm suffering with anxiety, I'm suffering with this. And there was no way I could teach them. So I just had to kind of break tradition and find a way that I could get this to the masses in a way that was actually going to be powerful and change their lives as well. So I created a series of programs, particularly one of them called 21 Steps to Faster, Deeper Bliss, and it's a video format where they can actually download this and watch this in the living room of their houses, in their cars, in, you know, in parks and beaches, on their tablets and iPhones, and they could actually access this in their own land. And so that's what we did. We created this, and that was the Stillness Project. And the Stillness Project is really a global company with a mission to inspire 1 billion people to meditate daily. Simply because we see how much it changes their lives. And we get testimonials every day from people all over the world on how much their life has changed because they've been able to access this meditation technique. And that's really joyful for me to be able to share that with people.
So I want to go back. That's beautiful. I want to go back and find out, when you were having an anxiety or a panic attack, what exactly would happen? Can you tell me kind of how it came on for you and the, I guess you'd say, the symptoms you were displaying, and how did you know that was what was happening? I think many people have them and don't even know.
Yeah, well, actually, that was the case for me. You know, I've been having them for quite a few years, and I had no idea what they were. I just get these waves of, like, it had so many different sensations. One of them was this dread, a sense of dread and fear. It was so palpable and so strong. I'd get this really tight knot in my stomach. My mouth would dry up. I couldn't sleep at all. And there was a jitteriness and a sort of tingliness through my body as my nervous system was getting completely swept away. It was just a really uncomfortable sensation. Mainly the biggest sensation was one of dread and just wanting to just withdraw from the world and not even go anywhere. It was just a sense of overwhelm. And it really is just a simple fact of my nervous system being shattered and being under too much pressure, and it just needed to repair itself.
Yeah. And was it always work-related, or was it ever personal, in your personal life? Did it ever come up, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, in the weirdest places, you know, it would come up. I remember once being on holidays, and I was in the most beautiful place in the world, one of my favourite locations here in Australia, and I was on a 2-week vacation, and it would just come up in the middle of nowhere, and I'd just be curled up in a ball on the bed. And I remember distinctly episodes, you know, down at my mum and dad's farm, and sometimes it was work related. I remember, you know, if I had really big functions on that I had to present or things like that, there would be levels of anxiety. But, you know, I went from not being able to leave my house, you know, not being able to turn up to work, not being able to go to family functions, to now traveling the world and being a keynote speaker in front of 400 people. And it's not that we can't do these things, it's just that our nervous system is struggling to meet that demand, and it's just frayed, and it just needs to repair. And we're all dynamic. We're all invincible. We're all amazingly confident beings with this incredible essence of love within us. It's just that, our mind, our bodies, our nervous systems, they just need that deep level of rest that we get in meditation to repair. And we need to get beyond the illusion of what we think we are.
So, you just answered my question. When I think of repair, I think of adrenal repair, and I'm in the health industry, so I think of repairing with food and repairing by fasting and abstaining from food, and I'm from the philosophy of it's not what you add into the diet, it's what you leave out and abstain from. And so when you were saying repair, I was trying to think of what you mean, and you mean actual repair by calming the body down and the nervous system through meditation.
Absolutely. It blows people away when I run my courses and when they do my online course, how much I focus on the physiology in this practice. And a lot of people start with meditation thinking it's a mental practice or a spiritual practice, but it's more about the physiology than anything else. And the reason being is that the mind and the body are totally connected. And the body's a printout of the mind. So if the mind's really busy, then the body's going to be really busy. If the mind's having a lot of negative thoughts, which mine did, then we're just simply not going to produce a lot of serotonin and oxytocin. If we're in stress mode, fight, flight, then we're not going to produce melatonin, oxytocin, serotonin. These are beautiful biochemicals that help us sleep, make us feel love, make us feel happiness. And you simply, scientifically, just can't produce those biochemicals when you're in fight, flight, because fight, flight is a protective mechanism that the body has for self-preservation. But when we restore balance, what happens is that the body reverses all of that and we move into parasympathetic nervous system mode where it starts to rest and digest. But when we're in meditation, what happens is it takes it to a whole new level. Anyone that's got anxiety or panic attacks or depression, they're all still sleeping each night. The sleep's just not enough to create that cue or to create that imbalance, to become balanced. And so with meditation, when we get into this transcendent state where the mind becomes still, because the body is a printout of the mind, the metabolic state of rest in that transcendent state is so profoundly deep. And it's been recognized in the actual transcendent state when the mind's still, that the level of rest in the physiology is 4 times deeper than sleep, which is quite remarkable to think that you're getting a deeper level of rest and transcendence in meditation when you're awake than when you're actually unconscious in deep sleep. And that's quite amazing. But it's really that level of rest where the body's natural healing intelligence, and the cell, every single cell has its own intelligence. And that intelligence is quite remarkable because it actually knows how to heal itself. It knows how to operate at the highest level. That's its actual design within the physiology. And for me, my body just simply reorganized itself to a higher level and repaired and restored balance simply by sitting in meditation morning and evening. So all the anxiety went away, the depression went away. And then after that, what I started to do was I just naturally felt more inclined to eat better, didn't feel inclined to drink alcohol, didn't feel inclined to take drugs, didn't feel inclined to have caffeine. So I just naturally flowed from that space of a change in my well-being through the meditation practice.
Yeah, I find it, I'm going to be honest with you. I find it difficult to calm my mind and to meditate, which was one of the reasons I wanted to have you on. I recently met someone that meditates every day, and it's a real attractive quality to someone like myself that takes stellar care of her body and helps other people heal their bodies through diet and detoxification. But when it comes to meditation, and this is a question I actually have been wanting to ask you for quite some time, I feel like I can quiet my mind for a little while, but not any extended period of time, like over 15 minutes. And I'm so embarrassed to say that. However, when I do yoga, as I practice yoga, I feel like that's almost a moving meditation for me. I feel euphoric when I get out of, I do Bikram and, hot yoga. I almost feel euphoric. I do feel euphoric. I feel calm, relaxed, centered. So can something like yoga well, I know it can create similar results, but you see them as two different things, right? I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You know, it's a really good topic of conversation, this. And with yoga, I practice yoga every week. I went last night, and my favourite's yin yoga. I love, all types of yoga, and I chop and change all the time. And yoga is such an important part of my well-being, process. But one thing I know about yoga, and I've done a lot of yoga, is that, you're listening to a teacher and you're moving your body, and there's a lot of hot air in Bikram, and your metabolic rate is actually quite stimulated. Now, if you did blood plasma level, breath rate, pulse rate, skin elasticity, EEG measure during yoga, particularly Bikrams in 38 degrees Celsius, and then you went and measured the same details when you're in a still state in meditation, it's chalk and cheese. It just doesn't even come close to comparing. You will feel amazing after yoga, and I highly recommend people embrace yoga wholeheartedly. But they're two very different things. So that's the first thing, is to recognize that they are two very different things. Now, we've got to remember what yoga was. Yoga was always the prelude. So the physical asana of yoga is purely one of 8 limbs of what yoga is all about. Physical asana is actually the smallest part of what yoga is all about. And the physical asana, which we focus a lot more on our world today, because we're very physical beings, is really just the prelude to the opportunity to sit. So what would be ideal for people after their yoga class would go and do meditation, but yoga is like an hour and a half, and it's taken them half an hour to get there, half an hour to finish class. You're up to sort of 2.5 hours before you even, get off to work or, get home for dinner. So it's a big chunk out of your day. Whereas 20 minutes meditation, you sit in a chair, close your eyes, you meditate for 20 minutes, and you get up and go and have breakfast. So it's very accessible. That's the first thing about it. But secondly, what we really need to recognize is that meditation is not about stilling the mind. And there's a lot of focus about, hey, I've got to still my mind in meditation. I can't still my mind in meditation. Therefore, I'm either no good at it, or it just doesn't work for me, and it might work for someone else. So we've got to debunk this, and this is what my role, I feel, really is in the world, is to debunk the myths about meditation. I mean, what's the point of stilling the mind? I mean, sure, you're going to get deep levels of rest, but what's going to happen when you get a still mind is that your body's going to get a profoundly deep state of rest. That's going to start to unlock stress. Your body's going to start to reorganize, which is actually an activity. That activity is going to stimulate your physiology out of that deep level of metabolic state of rest, and it's going to stimulate your mind. Before you know it, you're going to be thinking in your meditation. And that's symptomatic of you releasing stress and your body reorganizing itself. So if you think about this, if your listeners have had this experience, and I'm sure most of them have, and I'll ask you if you've had this, you're lying in bed at night, and you're just about to fall asleep. You feel yourself getting all drowsy, and you get the twitch.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, you get the twitch?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Okay.
You're almost scared out of into an awakened state.
That's right, into an awakened state. That's right. So what's actually happening there is that your mind's becoming still. You become moving towards the unconscious sleep state. Your mind's moving, and your body following that, because the body follows the mind. Your body's lowering its metabolic state of rest. So your body's dropping metabolically. Your breath's slowing down. Your pulse rate's slowing down. Everything's starting to move into rest state. This is where your body starts to heal and restore balance. In that twitch, what happens, the body goes, wow, we've got all this nervous tension in here, we've got too much stimulation, we've got too much energy in the body. We need to unlock some of that because it's not meant to be in here. That release is the body reorganizing itself. That stimulates the body. That's an activity. That activity will bring you out of that restful state and will stimulate the mind. And the next thing, before you know it, you're back to being awake again. So meditation is like this. It's a wave-like process, becoming de-excited through your meditation, and then unlocking stress, and that's going to bring you out of your meditation. And this frustrates the hell out of people because they really enjoy the quiet state, but you can't stay in the quiet state if you have stress in your body. And guess what? We all have stress in our body. So sustained periods of samadhi, that is transcendence or stillness, is very difficult to attain, almost near impossible for most people, unless you've been in a monastery and you've been meditating for many years and you have very little stress in your body. Or you're on a retreat. You can sustain long levels of de-excitation. So we've got to understand that meditation is more about stress releasing than getting attached to the idea that I've got to still my mind. Because it's stress releasing, The stress is the impediment to us experiencing the essence of who we are, which is bliss and love. And that's why I recommend finding a teacher, because without a teacher, this stuff's just going to be confusing. And I really recommend shopping around, finding someone you connect with, finding someone that's got a philosophy that you vibe, and then subscribing to them, talking to them, going to their classes or listening to them online, and finding ways that you can get assistance with your meditation, because the most important thing that you have is your consciousness, your mind. And we don't want to be, second guessing all this stuff. It's better to be having a trained professional assist you in that journey.
I agree. So, speaking of that, I was curious. Now, I have a question first. Do you recommend everyone meditate first thing in the morning? Kind of like I recommend green juice as their first meal of the day. Do you recommend that everyone stop and slow down and first thing in the morning, or any time that they feel they need it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I'll start firstly with just explaining that there are different types of meditations, and some meditations are going to be very difficult to practice, and some are going to be much easier. The one that I've been practicing for 20 years, and it's the one I teach, and the only reason I have practiced that for 20 years and why I teach it is because it was the easiest and the most accessible out of all the meditations that I've researched. Some meditations are going to be quite arduous, requiring a lot of effort, a lot of concentration, but some are going to be a lot easier to access. And we've got a lot of new meditations coming out these days that are definitely making things a lot more accessible. So shop around for a meditation. If you find that it's really uncomfortable and it's a great discipline and it's very, very difficult to implement into your day because it doesn't have a lot of charm, then just keep looking and find one that you really vibe with, because there are different types of meditations. Secondly, when it comes to your meditation, I would recommend one in the morning. Wake up, brush your teeth. I use a tongue scraper, scraping my tongue. Have a big glass of water, preferably warm water, about the same temperature as your body. You want that to assimilate quickly into your body to flush out your kidneys and liver and alkalize your body. I put a drop of apple cider vinegar or lemon in it. And then I'd meditate. And I'd meditate for 20 minutes before breakfast. And that's the foundation for my day. I'm sure all of your listeners today have brushed their teeth without even questioning it. For me, meditation is something that I don't even question. It's just part of my day. It's unconditional. And I do that one in the morning, and then I'll do one in the afternoon, any time between sort of 2 and 7 o'clock before dinner time. And it's really important for me personally that we do 2 a day, just because the level of demand that we're putting on our mind and body is quite extreme. We kind of think it's normal to live the life that we do, but it's crazy. Mm-hmm. And so we need to offset that huge amount of demand that we're putting on our nervous systems, our minds and bodies with the supplement meditation twice a day.
So let me ask you, if I were a client of yours and you were going to take me through a meditation, how would you start it? I know that a lot of people use like a word or a series of words. Is that the type you do or no?
Yeah, so if they wanted to learn the course that I teach, I either do weekend workshops here in Australia or I do online, and they would get a mantra, which is a sound. And that sound makes the process very easy, because the sound is quite a charming proposition for the mind. And you've got to think about the mind. The mind is always looking for something entertaining. It's looking for something that's quite charming. And so this is where the mantras come in, is that they're quite a charming proposition for the mind. And the mind's like, this is actually quite enjoyable, just listening to this sound being repeated over and over. And that's how you get that quietness in your mind, through the repetition of that sound. If I just say to my mind, hey, look, let's just stop thinking for a minute, the mind's like, you've got to be kidding me, that's boring. I don't want to do that. I actually want to play, I want to be charmed. So think of a little boy, 4 years old, we tell him to sit in the corner. He's going to get pretty bored within about 30 seconds, and he starts fidgeting and moving around. Give him a Nintendo or an iPod or a little game to play. He's found something charming, and he sits there for hours on end, won't even move. And that's like the mind. Give it something charming to feed it and keep it still, and that's where the mantra comes in. That said, for those students who come, like my open free Monday nights, or if I'm going to do a big group session where I can't take them through the whole course, because there's a lot involved in that course. A lot of knowledge is really important, gets passed on in that course. But for a short, quick fix, there is a simple breath meditation. I'm more than happy to share with your listeners if they want to have a nice, simple breath meditation.
I would love that for myself, Tom, not just my listeners. You're here for more than one reason.
Okay.
I would love that.
Let's do if you want, do you want to do a 3 or 5 minute meditation?
Sure, I would love that. There might be some noises that happen in the background. I have some people doing some, but if the mind is quiet, I guess you can tune that out, right?
What I would recommend with noise is, and this is one of the chapters you'll get in the online program, there's 21 days, and each day we dedicate it to one piece of knowledge around meditation, plus there's 37 support videos that will support them as well. But with noise, when we're thinking, noise does not impede our ability to think. You could be sitting on that sofa thinking about, hey, I've got to go and do this flight to Mexico in a few hours, and there might be noise in the background. It has had no effect on your ability to think. Therefore, if it's had no effect on your ability to think, then it doesn't have any effect on your ability to meditate. Now, it's just the idea that it has to be silent. It's just the idea that there shouldn't be any noise in the background that frustrates meditators. But if we let go of the idea that it doesn't matter that there's noise in the background. I mean, I can meditate at a football game, meditate on a train, and the background noise doesn't impede my ability to repeat my mantra, doesn't impede my ability to focus on my breath either. So we just let go of any attachment that it has to be quiet, and we're just going to accept that there's noises, and that's okay.
Okay, lovely. Let's do this.
Let's do this. All right, so this is a really gentle, I call it my gentle breath meditation. You can get this online. It's an audio that I sell. And we're just going to do this for a few minutes. So we close our eyes. We take one deep breath in, letting it all go out. And now we just allow our natural breath to simply flow. And this is just an effortless, natural breath. It's unforced. It's the body's natural requirement to draw in oxygen and expel carbon dioxide. It just comes in and it goes out. And now as that air moves in and out, you'll observe how it passes through the rim of the nostrils. And as it moves through the rim of the nostril, you'll notice there's a slight cooling effect on the skin, just around that tip of the nostrils. And this is the air brushing the moisture on the skin, slightly cooling the skin as the air passes through it. Keeping attention on that single point. Slight cooling effect on the rim of the nostril. As the mind wanders, we bring it back to that single point. It's a natural breath. It's unforced. The air comes in and the air goes out. Slightly cooling the skin around the rim of the nostril. the mind will wander away to the future and the past. You just bring it back to that single point. Nowhere to go, nowhere to be. Gentle breath, just in and out of the body. And now we're just going to surrender attention on the breath. Just keeping the eyes closed just for a few moments longer. Just letting the mind drift now. Let it wander. Let it roam freely. Taking in one deep breath. Letting the air out. And slowly opening the eyes. So that's a really simple process, just to bring some calm, de-exciting the nervous system, de-exciting the mind, and it's a little bit of a discipline, but it's great mental health. If you think about if we're unhealthy, we go to the gym or we do repetition of exercise. And this is what we're doing here. We're doing a mind exercise that's going to develop the muscle of the brain and give you a little bit more authority over it.
Wow. That truly was incredible. Calming. Very much so. I'm actually kind of surprised. Wow. You are incredible. Where can people find you? Where can people find your work, your retreats? Where can they get your products?
Sure. They go to stillnessproject.com. They'll find everything there. We're just about to launch the store, and in fact, they could probably go there today. I think it's live. Just a few refinements, but it's stillnessproject.com/store. They could get that gentle breath meditation in that store. It's just a $9 audio. Just got some music. It goes for 10 minutes. It's a really beautiful meditation. I do that with my children every night.
I have that one. I believe that's the one that both the boyfriends gave me. So I think I have that already.
Awesome. So yeah, they can find everything else at stillnessproject.com. We've got a really beautiful retreat coming up in Bali in May, and that's 6-day really deep immersion into meditation and yoga. It's quite a powerful transformational journey. I'll find more about that on the website.
That sounds lovely. And I wanted to ask you one last question before I forget. Sure. When you said, and I feel so relaxed, I'm kind of a little bit shocked that I feel so, I've had a busy day and I just feel relaxed, which really is conducive. I think that type of meditation that you just did would be excellent, yes, in the morning, but especially before dinner when people have a tendency to overindulge and not really tune in and listen to their bodies. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
When you said that people use like a mantra, is everyone's mantra different, or do you have them make their own, or how do they come up with that? I know that's a different type of meditation, but how?
Yeah, I mean, the mantra meditation is very relaxing, the transcending meditation, profoundly so, especially when you do 20 minutes of it. When I teach in person, there's different mantras for different people. I actually choose the mantra for that person. And online, in my online course, we use one specific mantra, and that's a mantra that works really well for everyone. So, yeah, the mantra is a great way of meditating.
Thank you so much. You are incredible. We'll definitely post a link to your website, and I humbled with gratitude that you even gave your time. And I'll be looking for my mantra that you're going to give to me to come through very soon after we end this. Thank you so much. You're amazing.
It's great to be here. Thanks for listening, everyone. It's wonderful for me to be able to share this with the world, and it's people like you that give me the opportunity to do that, so I appreciate that.
I appreciate you, and we'll definitely list Tom's website below. Be well.
Okay. Thanks so much.